If it weren't for his mother becoming queen consort, Tom Parker Bowles might never have set foot inside Buckingham Palace. But now, according to multiple insider reports, the Queen's son has become increasingly defiant, arrogant even, acting as though the royal corridors belong to him. Sources close to the palace whisper that Tom's attitude has changed dramatically since Camilla ascended the throne beside King Charles. Once a quiet food critic with a modest reputation, he's now said to move around royal circles with an air of entitlement, demanding privileges no commoner should ever expect. Some staff members even describe his behavior as reckless and entitled. But nothing could have prepared the world for what happened next. When FBI agents reportedly opened the wardrobe inside Tom Parker Bowles' private residence, what they discovered left even royal investigators in disbelief. Objects that should never have been there. Files that raised far too many questions. And that's when everything began to unravel. Was Tom simply a victim of bad luck? Or is there a deeper story hidden behind those palace walls? Could Queen Camilla's desperate attempts to protect her son be the reason for the growing tension between her and King Charles? Tell me what you think. Should a queen's son be treated like royalty, or should he face the same rules as everyone else? Tonight with Bon, we're pulling back the curtain on a scandal the palace is desperate to silence. Stay with me, because what the FBI reportedly found in Tom Parker Bowles' wardrobe might just change how you see the British royal family forever. In the hazy dawn light of Washington, D.C., on September 24, 2020, the world's most powerful city seemed to awaken with familiar sounds. Police sirens echoing through the wide streets and the shadows of FBI agents moving silently like ghosts in the fog. But today, the atmosphere was heavier than ever. A series of failed break-ins into government agencies had prompted national security agencies to take urgent action. And the luxurious house in the suburbs of Georgetown, where Tom Parker Bowles, the son of Queen Camilla, resided, was no exception. Tom Parker Bowles, a middle-aged man with an elegant appearance but always carrying a hint of mystery, was sitting in the living room of his luxurious home in the suburbs of Georgetown, holding a steaming cup of coffee. The morning light streamed through the large windows, highlighting the artwork hanging on the wall. As he reached the gate, the air grew heavy. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Urgent and insistent. Tom frowned, set down his coffee cup, and felt slight unease. He stood up, walked to open the door, not expecting that behind it was a team of fully equipped FBI agents with stern expressions. "Mr. Parker Bowles, we need to enter and inspect," the team commander said, his voice cold but professional, holding up a court order. "Your house was broken into last night." Tom was stunned, his face paling. "Broken into? I didn't hear anything," he exclaimed, trying to stay calm, but his voice trembled slightly. The commander explained briefly. "We received reports of a series of illegal intrusions. Please cooperate so we can check if anything is missing." Tom nodded, opening the door wider, inviting the agents in. Of course, I'll assist." The agents quickly spread throughout the house, checking every nook and cranny with meticulous care. They flipped through bookshelves, examined computers, and even inspected the paintings on the walls for signs of intrusion. Then the unexpected happened. A young security officer searching the wardrobe in the master bedroom discovered a small, hidden drawer deep inside and pulled it out. Inside was a thick stack of documents wrapped in plastic sheeting, and on it, clearly visible, was the seal of the British royal family, the stamp reserved only for top-secret documents from Buckingham Palace. "Boss, look at this!" he shouted, his voice full of astonishment. The entire team froze. The atmosphere tensed to the point of suffocation. Those documents were no ordinary thing. They bore the royal insignia, the search team commander. A middle-aged man with decades of experience immediately recognized the gravity. He picked up his phone, called his superiors directly, and then an unexpected decision was made to transfer the documents directly to King Charles III through secret diplomatic channels. In London, at Buckingham Palace, King Charles was sitting in his study, eyes focused on the daily report. The phone rang, and the voice on the other end said, Your Majesty, we found something related to the royal family. Charles listened, his face gradually shifting from calm to shock. Keep the information secret, he ordered, his voice low but authoritative. Transfer the documents here immediately. When the documents were delivered to Charles, he sat alone in the room, the still sealed stack placed on the table. How could royal documents end up in his stepson Camilla's place? Doubts began to rise in his heart. Camilla, the woman he had once loved and trusted, now seemed to be hiding something. Charles clenched his fists, emotions surging, betrayal, anger, and deep pain. How could this be? He whispered, eyes gazing out the window where the city of London was sinking into darkness. He decided he must clarify everything, no matter the cost. While the Washington public was still buzzing about the unexpected search at Tom Parker Bowles' home across the Atlantic in London, Camilla was enjoying a peaceful afternoon at Clarence's house. She sat in the cozy living room where ancient paintings hung on oak walls and soft sunlight filtered through stained glass windows. Camilla, with her always impeccable and aristocratic appearance, held her favorite cup of Earl Grey tea. She had no idea that a storm was approaching, one that would shake the foundations of the royal life she had worked so hard to build. Camilla's mobile phone vibrated lightly on the polished wooden table. She glanced at the screen, a strange number, but she recognized it immediately as a signal from her insider, whom she had carefully placed in the transatlantic intelligence network. With her familiar faint smile, she answered, her voice gentle. Yes, I'm listening. But after just a few seconds, that smile froze. The insider's voice came through, urgent and full of worry. Ma'am, bad news from Washington. The FBI has searched Master Tom's house. They found the documents. Camilla felt as if her heart was being squeezed. Her face paled, the teacup nearly slipping from her hand, making a light clinking sound on the table. How could this be? She whispered, her voice trembling. Those documents were no ordinary thing. They were the plan she had nurtured for years, a plan to protect her position and her family in the royal family. She panicked, her thoughts swirling like a vortex. Are they sure? Who leaked it? She asked rapidly, trying to keep her voice calm. But her heart was surging with fear. The insider replied, Definitely, ma'am. They've transferred it, probably through diplomatic channels. You need to act quickly. Camilla hung up, stood up from her chair, and staggered around the room. She thought of Tom, her beloved son, whom she had always protected from the troubles of royal life. Camilla was not a weak person. She was a warrior, having overcome countless scandals from her time as Charles's mistress. She took a deep breath, regained her composure, and picked up the phone to call Tom immediately. In Washington, Tom was sitting in his chaotic apartment after the search. The phone rang, and seeing his mother's number, he answered right away. Mama, I'm in turmoil, Tom said, his voice full of worry. Camilla interrupted, her voice now more decisive. Listen to me, Tom. Don't panic. If anyone asks, especially if Charles contacts you, deny everything. Say you know nothing about those documents. They might have been planted in your house without your knowledge. Prepare your statement carefully. And remember, don't admit anything. Tom nodded over the phone, his voice trembling. Yes, Mama. But what if they interrogate me? The FBI is watching me. Camilla reassured. I'll handle it. Just do as I say and check your house again. Make sure nothing is left behind. The call ended, but Camilla didn't stop. She made a few more calls to Tom, repeating the instructions as if to bolster the spirits of both mother and son. Each time, her voice grew more urgent, mixed with a mother's worry. But Camilla knew that her greatest enemy right now might be her own husband, King Charles. She needed to probe him to see what he knew. That evening, at a private dinner in Buckingham Palace, the atmosphere was cozy with flickering candlelight and exquisite royal dishes. Charles sat across from her, his expression as normal as ever, slowly cutting a piece of venison. He smiled lightly, talking about London's damp weather and upcoming events. Camilla, with a forced smile, decided to probe. She casually brought up, Charles, I heard about the search at Tom's house in Washington. It's worrying, hasn't it? It seems related to some missing files or something. Do you know anything? Charles paused, looked at her for a second, then continued cutting his meat, his voice calm and unchanged. Oh, I heard something vaguely through the press. Probably just routine security. My dear, Tom is careful. He'll be fine. He smiled gently, stroking her hand as if to comfort her. No sign of suspicion, no sharp glance or change in voice. He continued talking about upcoming travel plans as if the matter was trivial. Camilla observed him closely, her heart beating faster. He's completely silent, acting as if he knows nothing, she thought. But in her heart, a doubt crept in. Could Charles not know yet? Or is he pretending? A temporary sense of relief washed over her. But Camilla didn't let her guard down easily. She called Tom one last time. Remember to search your house thoroughly again. Make sure no traces are left. And stay silent. Tom agreed, his voice now steadier, thanks to his mother's guidance. Camilla lay in bed that night, eyes staring blankly at the ornate royal ceiling. She thought about her plan, about the years with Charles, from forbidden love to her current position. The initial panic now turned to determination. I won't let everything collapse, she told herself. But deep down, she sensed the climax approaching, a silent war within the royal family, where trust was tested and secrets could be exposed at any moment. The next morning, as the first rays of sunlight pierced through London's fog, Buckingham Palace was steeped in a rare tension. The marble-floored corridors, with royal portraits hanging high, seemed to silently witness an impending storm. King Charles III, after a sleepless night filled with doubts, summoned an emergency meeting. He called only the two children he trusted absolutely, Prince William and Princess Anne, in the study. Charles sat motionless, his hand on the documents from Washington, his eyes red, revealing clear anger and pain. Today, I need everyone, he whispered to himself before the meeting began. William received the call from his father at dawn. He was at Kensington Palace, preparing for a busy day, but Charles's low, worried voice made him immediately get in the car to Buckingham. Something very serious, William thought, clenching his phone. Princess Anne, always strong and decisive, hurriedly left Gatcombe Park. She drove through London's sleepy streets, her heart full of foreboding. He never calls an emergency like this without reason, she told herself, her eyes sharp. The secretive meeting room was deep within the palace, with ancient oak walls where centuries of royal secrets had been discussed. Light from the crystal chandelier shone down on the long table, casting ominous shadows. Charles sat at the head, the secret documents placed before him like a time bomb. He wore a deep blue suit, but his face showed fatigue. When William and Anne entered, his eyes couldn't hide the boiling anger. Sit down, he said, his voice low, full of authority but mixed with pain. We have a big problem, one that could shake the entire royal family. William, with his characteristic serious expression, sat down and flipped through the documents. His eyes widened in shock as he read the cold lines. It was the Regency plan, a detailed, cleverly drafted scenario for Charles's abdication due to health reasons. But what left William speechless was that Camilla would retain the Regency role, holding power to run the royal family while he, the heir to the throne, was strictly limited in power, only participating in formal ceremonies. Moreover, a series of documents transferring royal assets, from historic estates to massive investment funds to trust accounts controlled by Camilla, were included. William looked up, his face flushed with anger. Father, this is betrayal, he exclaimed, his voice trembling, thinking of Catherine and the children, their future now threatened by his stepmother. Anne, always strong and straightforward, slammed her hand on the table, the sound echoing in the quiet room. Brother, this isn't a plan. It's a conspiracy. Camilla is trying to control everything, pushing William aside and seizing the royal assets. She stood up, Pacing a few steps, her eyes blazing, Anne remembered the years when the royal family was shaken by Camilla's scandals from when she was Charles's mistress. Old pain resurfaced, now mixed with new anger. How dare she use the royal seal to legitimize this, Anne said, her voice full of indignation. Charles nodded slowly, his eyes red with anger and disappointment. He sat down, hand on his chin, his voice choked. I can't believe it. Camilla, the woman I love, who has been by my side through so much hardship, has gone behind my back like this. Emotions surged. He recalled the secret days, the love letters, and the late wedding that had the world talking. All now seemed like lies. I trusted her, he said, his voice trembling. I thought she would be my support in old age. But now I see clearly this is a plan for her to seize power. In a rare moment, the strong king revealed deep pain, like a betrayed husband. The meeting room atmosphere was suffocatingly tense. William held his father's hand, his voice steady. Father, we must act now. We can't let her continue. Anne nodded. We need solid evidence. We'll uncover the truth. Charles regained his composure. He stood up, his voice decisive. I order a full review of all royal documents. William, investigate the origin of these documents. Who drafted them? Who signed them? Monitor Camilla's communications. Calls? Emails? Everything. From now on, prohibit her from accessing any documents. No paper leaves the palace without my permission. The meeting ended in a heavy atmosphere. William and Anne left, each with clear tasks, hearts full of determination. Charles sat alone in the room, his hand clenching the royal seal on the documents. He looked out the window where London was awakening, but his heart was lonely and pained. I won't let the royal family fall into the hands of plotters, he whispered, his eyes resolute. Charles's move had been made, a smart, logical move to reverse Camilla's game, but it would lead to even fiercer conflicts, where family trust was tested to the core. The next morning, at Clarence's house, pale sunlight filtered through the stained glass windows. Camilla entered her private office, where oak bookshelves were filled with documents and royal portraits silently observed. Camilla, in an elegant blue silk dress, prepared to sign personnel files, a routine task for her. Her hand held the pen, ready to place her familiar signature, when her private secretary, a middle-aged woman, entered, her voice trembling. Ma'am, there's an order from Buckingham Palace. You are prohibited from accessing all royal documents. Camilla froze, the pen dropping to the table with a small clack in the quiet space. What? Who dares to issue this order? She asked, her voice sharp but mixed with panic. The secretary bowed her head, not daring to look directly. The order from the king, ma'am. Camilla felt as if the world was collapsing. Her hand trembled, her heart surging with fear mixed with anger. Charles, he knows, she thought, her heart pounding. The image of the secret documents, the plan she had carefully built, flashed in her mind. She recalled the years of meticulous planning, the secret calls with Tum, and the risk she had taken. He's opposing me, she whispered, her eyes blazing with determination. Camilla was not one to surrender easily. She had overcome countless scandals to reach this position, and now she would counterattack. Camilla immediately summoned her trusted media team, those who had helped shape her public image for years. She sat at her desk, her voice low but full of authority. Leak this news. King Charles's health is seriously declining. Preparations for throne transition are needed. She pushed a stack of fake medical records, prepared long ago with the help of a trusted doctor, into the hands of the person in charge. Ensure the biggest newspapers get it, she ordered, her eyes sharp. Just a few hours later, headlines exploded. King Charles gravely ill, Queen ready for regency, British royal family prepares for a new era. The articles cited internal sources and fake medical records, causing public uproar. Camilla smiled faintly, but in her heart, she knew this was only the first step. She continued her actions, summoning her close advisors, those who had supported her through many storms. In the small meeting room at Clarence House, she stood before them, her voice persuasive. We must act for the benefit of the royal family. If the king is not healthy enough, we need a clear transition plan. She presented a fake petition, cleverly drafted to legitimize the regency idea. The advisors, though hesitant, were swept up in Camilla's confidence. Some signed, believing this was a way to protect the royal family's stability. Camilla observed them, her heart relieved but still tense. Just need to maintain the initiative, she thought, her hand clenching. In parallel, Camilla didn't forget the lost documents, something that could destroy everything. She called her insider in Washington, her voice urgent. Find it at all costs. Retrieve it before Charles uses it against me. The insider promised to search every lead, from the FBI to diplomatic channels. Camilla hung up, sat down in her chair, her heart pounding. She thought of Tom, her son caught in the dangerous crossfire in America. Camilla stood up, stepped out to the balcony, and looked down at the Clarence House garden. The cold wind blew through, but she felt nothing but the fire of determination in her heart. Her counterattack was a bold move, using media and advisor support to pressure Charles. But would it be enough to reverse the game? She knew Charles was not easy to deal with, and his silence at dinner the previous night made her suspicious. He's waiting for the right moment, she thought, a bit of worry rising in her heart. Her bold move had been launched, but would it be strong enough to confront Charles in the heart of Buckingham Palace? The atmosphere was heavy, as before a storm. The ancient corridors with portraits of kings silently observing seemed to await an event that would shake the royal family. Prince William, with a heavy heart, worked tirelessly with his private intelligence team, carefully selected from MI5 and royal security agencies. He knew time was running out, and every minute that passed, Camilla's conspiracy could advance another step. In a secure office at Kensington Palace, William sat before a computer screen, his face tense, eyes sharp. An intelligence officer who had once worked with Tom's secretary entered, holding a small USB drive. We found this, he said, his voice cautious. William plugged the USB into the computer, and an audio recording began to play. Camilla's voice came through, clear and cold. When he's too weak, everything will pass to me. Tom, you just need to follow the plan. William felt his heart tighten, as if cut by a knife. My stepmother, how could she? He whispered. He thought of his father, King Charles, who had loved and trusted Camilla for so many years. He thought of Catherine and the children, who might lose their inheritance because of this plot. William clenched his fists, anger mixed with pain surging. She's gone too far, he said to the intelligence officer. Prepare to send this recording to my father immediately. At the same time, Princess Anne, with her characteristic decisiveness and sharpness, was working in another secure room in the palace. She had requested a full check of Camilla's call and email history over many months. With the support of a technology expert, Anne discovered an unusual chain of communications between Camilla and a lawyer named Richard Harrow, a little-known figure but connected to complex financial transactions. Harrow, as Anne discovered, was the one who had helped Camilla draft the royal asset transfer documents, using a fake royal seal to legitimize them. Anne stood up abruptly, her eyes blazing. This is evidence, she said, her voice full of determination. She grabbed the printed documents and rushed to meet Charles, her heart boiling with the will to expose the truth. At Buckingham Palace's grand meeting room, King Charles convened an emergency session with the Royal Council, senior advisors, and close family members. The room's atmosphere was heavy, light from high windows shining down, highlighting Charles's stern face. Camilla was summoned, entering with an aristocratic demeanor but a flicker of worry in her eyes. Charles stood up, holding the recording and Anne's documents. Camilla, he said, his voice low but sharp, explain this. What is it? He played the recording, and Camilla's voice echoed in the room, leaving everyone stunned. Camilla paled, her hand clenching the edge of her dress, "This is slander," she shouted, her voice trembling with anger and panic. "Someone faked it to harm me." But Charles didn't stop. He pushed Anne's documents forward, pointing to the evidence of calls and fake papers. "What were you contacting Richard Harrow for? Where did this fake royal seal come from?" he asked, his voice full of pain. Camilla tried to speak, but before the royal council, the stern eyes of the advisors, William and Anne, she couldn't deny it. William stood up, his voice firm. "You've planned to usurp power, pushing my father and me aside." "Did you think we wouldn't find out?" Anne added. "This is an internal conspiracy, and we have enough evidence." The meeting room erupted. The advisors whispered, murmurs spreading, a conspiracy to usurp power from within. Charles looked at Camilla, his eyes red, not just from anger, but from the pain of a betrayed husband. "I trusted you, Camilla," he said, his voice choked. "But you've destroyed that trust." Camilla, now desperate, tried to say more but received only cold silence from the council. She bowed her head, tears rolling down, not from remorse, but from knowing she had lost.